I mean, can you believe it? The SEC made yet another mistake and a poorly written letter to the judge. At least this according to some of the outside attorneys covering this Ripple versus the SEC case. So in this video, what I'm going to do is talk about the SEC's latest response to Ripple's latest response to what the SEC is attempting to do and introduce new expert reports into the discussion, into the trial. So I'm going to tell you what that report is, what the SEC did in this latest response, and some of the outside legal analysis. And I'm also going to talk about more good news for Ripple, specifically about the ODL, the on-demand liquidity system. And I will also talk briefly about what I'm going to cover in my next Ripple video that talks about a crazy price prediction from 2018, and you're not going to want to miss who that prediction is actually from. Hey everyone, my name is Randy. Welcome back to the Late Night Grind. And right now on this channel, we are covering the Ripple versus the SEC case, as well as other cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all these topics interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, join the Late Night Grind community. And if you are feeling generous, I'd appreciate it if you do two things: smash the thumbs up button and watch the video all the way to the end. Those are the two best things you can do to support a YouTube channel. So if you do that, I greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, let's jump into it. Okay, so what is XRP and Bitcoin, for that matter, doing right now? Well, they're continuing to climb. They had a big day yesterday, a big green day yesterday, and XRP's been continuing to climb even at a higher percentage than what Bitcoin is. That's good news for XRP holders. And also in a video that's going to be coming out soon, Stuart Alderati, who is Ripple's general counsel, actually put out an op-ed on some of the interesting parts of why he thinks 2022 could be the most important year in cryptocurrencies, specifically speaking from a regulation perspective. So you're not going to want to miss that video. So in those videos, there's going to be some really interesting predictions on the future, and I'm going to talk about what was written in 2018 and how it compares to what is actually happening now in 2022. So stick around for that. All right, so I'm going to talk about the good news for Ripple. Basically, anywhere outside of the US, the on-demand liquidity system that Ripple has, which is used for the cross-border payments, cross-border remittance services, is actually going crazy. Ripple's Ashish Birla has recently talked about the growth of the on-demand liquidity system and how globally it's actually nearing global adoption. They're in 22 emerging markets globally, and the on-demand liquidity system has more transactions per day than almost ever before, along with the volume of dollars being transacted. So does anyone take a care to guess what could happen even further once XRP gets its regulatory clarity in the United States? Yeah, my guess is that there's going to be a little bit of a boom. So if you're thinking about buying actual shares of Ripple when they go public, which I believe they will after this case is over, it's just some things to consider. And speaking of things to consider, let's talk about what's going down now in the Ripple versus the SEC case. So the SEC just yesterday filed a rebuttal against Ripple's rebuttal against what the SEC is trying to do, which what they want to do is present some expert report, some expert statistical analysis of XRP and Ripple and how they correlate, and introduce it into the court case. Ripple, of course, didn't want any part of it and gave their reasons why in a letter to the judge several days ago. Well, the SEC just responded to that. And without reading the whole thing, because I'm not a legal expert, I rely on guys like Jeremy Hogan, John Deaton, James Filan, and a few others to give their thoughts on this. Well, James Filan gave his thoughts. In fact, when he posted this, he actually sent out a tweet shortly after and basically ripped it to shreds. So he starts off by saying it was very poorly written. Now, I don't like reading legal documents as it is, so I'll just go by his word that it was very poorly written. But not only that, he said it was repetitive, which is the sign of pretty much a weak argument. And he also said that they tried to point out a mistake in procedure that Ripple made. Well, he said, no, the SEC was actually the one that made the procedural mistake. And finally, he said they comically offered to consent to a deadline in which the SEC already blew. Interesting. Now, the thing I noticed when I was scrolling through it is that in this letter to the judge, the SEC actually included this expert witness deposition as an exhibit in this letter. As Jeremy Hogan points out, what the SEC is actually trying to do is use this space for 2 rebuttals instead of just 1, which is what they are allowed to do. And as someone else on Twitter pointed out, they're actually trying to include this expert witness, this expert discovery analysis into their letter. So not only did the SEC appear to make a procedural mistake, they really made a mistake in just trying to include this after the deadline for which it was actually set. It's one of these things where the judge is going to have to rule on this. Some people say she's going to have to rule in favor of the SEC so that they can't appeal it afterwards, because they would just simply come back and say, well, our legal statistical expert was not allowed to be deposed. But of course, on Ripple's side, people are saying, nope, the judge should deny this because it simply shouldn't be allowed at this stage of the game. And the one thing I thought was interesting as I was looking at that expert statistical deposition was that he was trying to point out is that the SEC is attempting to point out that when there is good news for Ripple, the price of XRP goes up, which if you are an XRP holder, you've been asking that question for literally years now. How comes when Ripple gets good news, the price of XRP doesn't move? There's literally no correlation. Well, according to the SEC, approximately 20% of the time that Ripple has had big announcements, the price of XRP has moved. But as someone on Twitter pointed out just underneath that, approximately 40% of the time, and this goes back years, 40% of the time that Bitcoin and or Ethereum make big moves, XRP follows suit. And at this point in the game, I would argue to say that it looks like 90% of the time that Bitcoin makes its move up or down, XRP follows suit. And I would love to see some statistical analysis done on that part, but basically the SEC is trying to say that of course XRP is a security of Ripple, because when Ripple gets good news and makes more profit, the price of XRP goes up. Now, that's not how it works. XRP does not attain any value from the success or non-success of Ripple. Ripple's profit is Ripple's profit. It does not flow through to XRP. All right, so that's it for today's video, but remember, I did want to give you a reminder that the next video I'm covering on Ripple is going to be talking about some predictions that were made in 2018 by some names that you probably never heard before, but they're incredibly important names. I'm going to talk about what their valuations of XRP and Bitcoin were in 2018 and what they correlate to right now. How close were they? Does it make sense? I'm going to talk about it in that video. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and that bell notification icon so that YouTube will send you a notification when I release that new video. And if you are new to this channel, I'd appreciate you going up to that community tab and clicking on it. There's some polls up there that I put up, a couple of polls a week, because I love to get to know the late night grind community's thoughts on all of these different topics. So if you want to follow this discussion, you can always do so in the comment section below, as well as follow me on Twitter. There's a link in the description below. You can follow me on Twitter, because a lot of these topics that I actually talk about, I tweet about or retweet on Twitter before I end up making a video on it. So you might get some early information if you follow me there. All right, guys, I really appreciate you watching all the way to the end, for giving it a big thumbs up. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.